Hey everybody, Raymond here from the Beginner Photography Podcast, and today we're talking about the photography habits that you can implement to become a better photographer in 2025. So let's get into it. Hey, I am your host, Raymond Hatfield, and today, as I said earlier, we're talking about habits. And habits are always a popular thing to talk about in the beginning of the year. Some people don't like to do resolutions. Some people give themselves a word for the year. But I have found that the most successful I have been in something have not come from resolutions or setting an intention, but it has just been through creating simple habits. Now, I'm not saying that I am the perfect specimen for somebody who has mastered their life, far from it, but I have done quite a few things right, and I want to share those things with you in the hopes that maybe it'll help you do something right in your life, and specifically in terms of photography. So today I've compiled a list of a number of photography habits, specifically 14 habits that if you implement them, you will not only become a better photographer, but these are also habits that I wish that I would have implemented earlier into my journey. So again, to that same vein of just trying to help you out to become a better photographer, to become the photographer that you envision yourself to be, one who is creative, one who is successful, one who is able to create images that other people look at and say, wow, this feels genuine, this feels real. Because let me tell you something, it has nothing to do with the camera that you use. It has nothing to do with whatever lens you use or what software you use to edit or hacks for figuring out the algorithm or whatever. It has nothing to do with any of that. If you want to be a successful and productive and a creative photographer, these habits that I'm going to share with you today will definitely help with that. So habit number one is to stop watching gear reviews. I get it. It seems kind of cliche. Okay, we understand. But listen to me. Gear reviews are the most popular videos in the photography space on YouTube. People watch them. People love them. I've watched a lot of them before. I've made purchasing decisions based on those gear reviews. But when we look at what is a gear review, when we've gotten to the place in a product, I don't know, distribution or whatever, that is happening where cameras come out every single year and it happens on a schedule. The role of a gear review, it has one job. And that job is not to tell you about the new gear and why it is so great. Its one job is to make you feel like your gear that you currently have is garbage. Because, sure, we get it. Listen, maybe living on a beach in a mansion is better than wherever you live right now, but you're not selling your home to go do that thing. Because chances are your home works for your life. Gear reviews, obviously a much smaller price point than a home, maybe not by much, but you get it, is to make you feel like your gear is not good enough. Like you are not getting the photos that you want because you don't have this new gear. But the problem is that was the exact same message last year when you bought the last camera. And if you're still not happy with your photos, it's not the gear. It's you. It is your knowledge and understanding of photography and how it works and the ability to see light and the ability to see a moment. That is what's holding you back. It is not the gear. The gear is not going to help you with a moment. The gear is not going to tell you or help you find the best light. The only thing that's going to be able to do that is your eyes. Look, is today's camera better than yesterday's camera? Yes, of course. But my car from 2013, guess what? It still gets me from point A to point B, and I love driving it. Because I know the rules of the road, I know how to use the car. I've gotten to a point to where we work together very well. And I'm able to get out of the car what I want out of the car. That is what you should aspire to, learning how to get the most out of your camera, whatever it is. Because listen, we've been creating fantastic, great, world-class images for almost 100 years now. And almost none of those photos were taken with that camera that just came out yesterday. So therefore, you don't need it either. Stick with what you got. Just keep shooting. Have fun. All right. Habit number 2 is to always be on time. I had this idea early on as a wedding photographer that if I was going to meet my couple for a drink, for coffee or something like that, then I wanted to be perceived as the professional. I wanted to be perceived as the expert. I wanted to be perceived as somebody who was in high demand. And what that meant is that I would show up 4 or 5 minutes late to one of these meetings and then say something to the effect of like, sorry, I just left another meeting with another couple. Something like that to let them know, hey, I'm in demand, even if that wasn't necessarily true. But let me tell you, that is that is the fastest way to get a couple to not like you. Especially when you're meeting like middle of the week, say it's 5 o'clock, maybe they had to get off work a little bit early to come meet you at this place, not close to their home, who knows? And then you're late. The thoughts going through their head is not, oh, wow, this guy's really in high demand. We must book him right away. The thought that goes through their head is, what if he's late on our wedding day? What if he's late for our family shoot? Can we trust him? That is the question that then goes through their mind. So, this idea of changing your own perception to bolster it essentially, to make it bigger than what it is, actually just backfires a huge amount and it ruins that trust. You don't want to be sitting there waiting for anybody. You hate it when, I don't know, you go to the doctor and you got to wait forever, the dentist, whatever. You hate it. Don't do it to your clients. Don't do it to anybody who's waiting on you ever. That's just life advice. Don't be late. Be on time. But specifically in the world of photography, that is a service-based business. It is not a commodity. It is a service. And if you deliver a terrible service, people will remember that. They're not going to have a good time. And it's going to reflect in your sales and your referrals. So don't do it. Just be on time. Be a good human. All right. Habit number 3 that I want you to adopt this year is to always do your best. It sounds kind of cliche. I get it. But here's what I'm not saying, because this often gets confused. Oftentimes, when I say always do your best, specifically when I say that to my children, they hear always be the best. But I don't want you to be the best. I want you to do your best. If you don't have the newest camera, that's fine. I've said it. In fact, I would rather you not have the newest camera. I don't have the newest camera. If you don't have experience posing anybody but your own family, that's fine. If you've never photographed anything but nature and your coworker asks, for you to take their photos, that's fine. As long as you are honest and you're upfront, nobody can say that you are the best in the world. We know that. If you've only photographed nature, you're not going to be the best portrait photographer in the world first time. But what you can do, if you can't be the best, what you can do is do your best. And if that means that you have to do some research, if that means that you have to do some hands-on practicing, if that means that you have to talk to another photographer and get help and tips and their advice, then there you go. That is doing your best, right? Showing up with a plan is doing your best. If you just show up and say, yeah, I've photographed nature 100,000 times, I'm sure that I'll be able to figure out this family thing, that is not doing your best. If you shoot weddings long enough, like I did, there will come a time where you'll show up to a wedding and it is raining, or the reception hall is in the basement of a church and there's no windows. What you can't do is say, oh, well, there's nothing I can do here. You have to do your best. The best reception photos may be, I don't know, on a beach in Mexico with everybody dancing around, having a great old time. You're not going to be able to get that every single time. Some weddings are different. Some families are different. Sometimes the kid shows up sick. You can't control being the best, but you can control doing your best. Okay, if this is the situation that I'm in right now, how can I do my best to deliver the best that I can? But if you can do your best, then nobody can ever say that you gave them anything less than your best. All right. Habit number 4 is to shoot daily. Let me tell you a story. When I was shooting weddings full time, my weddings in April and May would be some of my weakest weddings, right? My strongest weddings always came later in the year, say October, September, because I had, say from April to August or from April to October of just doing photography, full time, putting in a lot of work. And you get stronger and stronger and stronger every time you shoot. But then come October, I'd be exhausted, shot a bunch of weddings that year, I'm tired. You get out of the habit. And then come April, you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I got a wedding today. And then you got to shoot it and you're rusty. You're just rusty, right? Or maybe you're not even rusty. You're just not as loose as you wish that you were. And what that means is that your quality of work suffers greatly. Rick Rubin has this great quote from his book, The Creative Act, that says, "Discipline is a time saver for creativity. Discipline brings you to the workplace." What that means is if you show up every day with the intention of creating something, maybe not even creating the best thing or the perfect thing, but just creating something, that discipline of showing up again every day will get you in that zone so that 2 or 3 weeks from now, a month from now, 3 months from now, a day where you wake up and maybe you're not feeling it, or you see this beautiful scene, but you're not as inspired as you wish that you were for the scene that was in front of you. The discipline of shooting every day is going to bring you to that place. It's going to elevate you to be able to say, well, I'm going to take out the camera and I'm going to just shoot something. And oftentimes, if you hear from habit experts, the habits that you create should not be things like go to the gym for 60 minutes a day. It should just be to show up at the gym. Because once you're there, you're not going to say, okay, I drove all the way to the gym. Now I'm going to turn around and go home. You're going to say, well, I'm already here. I might as well go inside. I might as well start walking on the treadmill or whatever. So when you shoot daily, when you're there and you're in front of a scene, you think, okay, I might as well pull up the camera, right? You're not going to just stop there. You can take the photo, you're going to look at it and say, okay, actually, I kind of like that. But what if we tried this? And you're just going to try something a little bit different, 2, 3, 4, 5% different. And then that's going to grow into another photo until before you know it, 15, 20 minutes later, you're like, wow, I got a number of photos here. And the last one that I got is way better than the first. Shooting daily is a practice that hands down will put you in a place to be the best photographer that you can. If you were looking for a new family photographer, I don't know, who would you rather hire? Somebody who's been shooting every day for the past 5 years? They've shot more than 1,000 clients over the last 5 years? Or somebody who 30 years ago had a photography business that was thriving, but then they gave it up and they haven't really shot for the past 30 years? You would want to pick the person who's been most recently shooting a lot. With it being a new year, this is a very popular time for somebody taking on a 365 project or a photo a day project. I've heard from a lot of photographers that is extremely hard to do in the winter because, you'll start off strong and then quickly it's just the same old winter. It's snowy, it's boring, and you lose that drive, right? I get it. Don't worry about completing from January 1st to December 31st. It's not about capturing 1 year of your life. It's about creating a practice that is going to be a daily photo practice. And that is why we have created the Beginner Photography Podcast Daily Photo Challenge group on Facebook. So every day there's a new prompt that's posted. At the beginning of every week, there's a new prompt that's posted for the week as well, just in case a daily photo challenge is a little bit too much for you. It's also not rigid at all. If you see a prompt and you're like, oh, children, that doesn't apply to me at all, you don't have to shoot it. You shoot whatever it is that is in your life, right? The prompts are for the inspiration, but you can shoot whatever you want. And the progress that I've seen in people who have gone through the Daily Photo Challenge group is insane, including myself. I've done it before, and just seeing my progress just in a short amount of time. I mean, you'll see progress in the first 2 weeks. Imagine what the next 50 weeks of progress is going to bring for you as well. So I encourage you to come join our free Beginner Photography Podcast Daily Photo Challenge group, which you can do by heading over to beginnerphotopod.com/DPC for Daily Photo Challenge. So that's beginnerphotopod.com/DPC to join the Daily Photo Challenge Facebook group. And finally, start that daily habit of taking photos. All right, habit number 5, and this is an important one. It's to prep before every single shoot. Seems easy enough, right? Okay, put my camera in the bag, make sure my batteries are charged. I got my lenses, they're clean. Cool, I'm prepped. I would argue to say that you're nowhere near close to prepped. And maybe this goes back to doing your best. But when I would prep for a shoot, I would find myself taking better photos, happier with the turnout, not as stressed, and having clients that were happier with their photos when I would prepare things like memorizing their names, I've been to an engagement session where I showed up and I got the clients' names wrong. And I'll tell you, that was an awkward next hour of our lives. I got some photos that I loved, but they didn't seem to reciprocate that love. And it started off by just forgetting their names. So prep getting their names right. Prep the poses that you're going to do. And I don't mean that you have to know every single pose that you're going to do before a shoot, but it is great to, just as a mental exercise, on the car drive there, verbally say out loud in your car, like a lunatic, the exact poses the exact direction that you'll be giving to your couples, saying their names to get them in the pose that you want. All right, Alex, I'm going to have you turn towards Sam. I'm going to have you two get a little bit closer. And then now imagine a book, right? The hinge is your hip. Go ahead and open the book just a little bit. Sam, open up a little bit more. There you go. Perfect. I want you two to look right at each other. All right, Alex, go ahead and put your hand right on Sam's chest right there. Look at each other and then go in for a kiss for me. Perfect. Just something like that, right? Just so that you can get that fresh in your head as you show up. Sure, of course, you're going to prep your gear. You're going to make sure that your lenses are clean. You're going to make sure that your memory card is wiped and clean. You're going to make sure that your batteries are charged. But making sure that you have your clients' names down, the poses down, is super, super important. And then lastly, I would even say have a contingency plan. I've been to weddings where it rained. I've showed up to engagement sessions where the park we were going to go to had some sort of construction going on and we couldn't shoot there. So have some sort of contingency plan. What are you going to do if it rains? Where are you going to go if that park is closed? Just have some ideas so that when you show up and these things do happen, you don't just look like a bumbling idiot. You look like you've prepared for the shoot, and the clients will feel much more at ease and trust you a whole lot more. Habit number 6 to implement in this year is to build client relationships. Now, early on, I thought, look, I'm the photographer. I know what's best. I'm going to give them what it is that I do. And if they want something else, well, then they should have found a different photographer. I assumed that when that really sounds pompous. I wasn't like, I didn't have it turned up to 11 like that, but I assumed that if somebody sent me an email from my website, that they had looked through every single one of my photos, that they had read the about me, that they had read my blogs, that they had a really, really good idea of who I was and what it was that I could deliver for them before they would email me and ask if I was available for their wedding date. But in reality, 9 times out of 10, they saw 4 or 5 photos on the homepage, they saw my pricing, and they're like, looks good, let's try to talk to this guy. So when I started implementing, making it mandatory to meet with my couples or talk to them on the phone, man, everything became a whole lot better. Because now I could sit down with my clients, I could talk to them, I could learn more about not only who they are, but what it is that they're looking for. I've gone to meetings. I mean, it says on my website, I'm the wedding photographer for couples who don't want a wedding photographer following them around all day. And I've had couples tell me, like, we want camera aware photos. We want it highly posed. We want it, like, that's not what I do at all. I'm not sure if you looked at any of my images. I want you to enjoy your wedding day. When you look back at your wedding day, I want you to remember the fun and the people and the experience of it rather than standing in front of my camera in some flashes the entire time. But if I would have just read their email, I would have thought, oh, great, they already know everything about me. I'm going to be able to deliver exactly what it is that they want. Yep, I'll book you. But in reality, I had to tell them, oh, I'm not the right photographer for you. So that's obviously like covering your butt, right, in the part of building client relationships. But there's also been weddings or meetings where I've gone to and I've built almost an instant rapport with the couple, had a great time, and that led to a better outcome on their wedding day because we had already had rapport, we had already had some inside jokes built. I knew exactly what it was that they wanted, and we just meshed. So when I showed up on that wedding day, it was like we were already friends and I was already one step ahead, and I just got to work right away. So habit number 6 is, again, to build those client relationships. So that brings us to habit number 7. Habit number 7 is to slow down. Listen, you're listening to this podcast because you want to grow your skills as a photographer. I get that. You want to reach your goals. You're listening to this podcast because you want to reach them faster. You want to take the lessons of other photographers and you want to implement them into your work to learn faster. This is the right place for you. But I don't want you to forget that photography is a journey. It is a long journey. It is a journey that you will never reach the finish line. Are you going to be able to take some great photos along the way? Yes, of course. But to truly succeed as a photographer, you really need to enjoy the journey. It doesn't matter how much you know about technical specs. It doesn't matter that you have the newest camera. None of that matters. What matters is that you, as the photographer, are enjoying what you are doing. And oftentimes that comes from slowing down. Now, slowing down does not mean being lazy. Slowing down does not mean not taking action. Slowing down is simply enjoying the journey. Early on, for me, I wanted to learn as much as I could, as fast as I could, humanly possible. Every time I went out to shoot, I would come home, edit as many photos as I can, and then share them right away to show people, hey, look, I'm out there, I'm shooting, I'm doing it, let's go. But when I look at those photos, slowing down isn't just for the journey itself. I mean, in the individual steps as well. So when I look at those photos, I could tell that I clearly tried to rush through editing. And I know that I would post those photos and the next day or 2 days later, I would look at them on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And I would say, God, I hate these photos. These are terrible. These colors are way over the top. Everything looks all HDR because I raised the shadows and I dropped the highlights. And nothing kills the mood to go out and shoot more than looking at photos that you just took and think, gosh, I hate those. So slow down. When you go out, if you're going to shoot a bunch of photos, that's great. Load them onto your computer. Do that initial edit. That's fine. But you don't have to share them with the world right away. Here's something that I learned very early on. It's that nobody's waiting for you to post more photos. Nobody's patiently waiting at their computer, constantly refreshing your Instagram feed. Nobody's doing that. I mean, maybe your mom might be. I don't know. But nobody else is doing that. So wouldn't it be more beneficial to take the extra day, take the extra 2 days to really edit a photo to something that you will like, that you're proud of, that is of better quality, rather than just posting it as fast as humanly possible to make it look like you're busy? This journey of being a photographer is more about you than it is everybody else. If you create the work that you want to create, no matter how fast or how slow it is, people are going to enjoy it more. If you're only creating work for somebody else, you're going to try to get it done as fast as possible. The quality is going to be garbage, and you're just not going to be happy with it. So hey, listen, slow down. It's okay. If you didn't post any photos on Instagram today, that's fine. This is a journey, and you need to enjoy the journey. So figure out, in what ways are you enjoying the journey of photography the least? And the answer to getting over that is typically either to slow them down or to just remove them altogether. So give that a shot. So that brings us to habit number 8. And that is to keep going even when it's tough. I know that these seem kind of trite, but hear me out. Have you ever heard of Thomas Edison? Yeah, he's the guy who invented the light bulb, right? Yeah. Okay, so he had this quote that genius is often just persistence in disguise. Now, if you don't know the story of Thomas Edison, it took him decades and more than 6,000 different attempts at creating the light bulb before he figured out what worked and what made a light bulb. 6,000. Decades of time. Imagine working for decades and it never working. But you just keep on doing it until one day, boom, biggest invention the world had ever seen to this point. If you're looking at your photography journey and you're thinking to yourself, man, this isn't working out for me. I don't know if I'm cut out to be a photographer. You might be measuring yourself with the wrong ruler. You might be looking at the successes of others and assuming that those are the successes that you should be having as well. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it just takes getting creative with how you accomplish something and knowing concretely what is right for you and what is not right for you. Some photographers want to be low cost, high volume. They like being busy. They like meeting with a ton of different people, while other photographers prefer to be more boutique, low volume, high profit. They don't work with a lot of clients, but now they're able to spend more time with each one and therefore charge a higher price. Just because one has had success in one field doesn't mean that the other is completely negated. You have to do what is right for you. So even when it gets tough, even when you feel like this just isn't working out for me, I promise you there is a way forward. And sometimes, honestly, maybe you're just at a plateau. I had an entire wedding season where I thought all of my photos were garbage. I'm not progressing as a photographer. I'm not getting any better. I'm just stagnant, and I hated it. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're at a plateau. And if you are stuck, one of the best things that I have found to get over that plateau, or honestly, just get a jump start if maybe you're new to photography, is to hear what other photographers are doing, to hear how they're doing it. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I created the podcast, was to create a place where photographers could share their actionable information on what works for them, so that I selfishly, and you, of course, as well, could take that information, decide if it's right for you, and then put it into practice. This podcast is not, I don't want you to listen to this right now if you're not going to take any of these habits into consideration or implement any of them. I'm not saying implement them all, but if you're not going to implement any of them, you're wasting your time listening to this. So if you're in that spot and you want the actionable information, you don't just want a passive listening experience, but you want the tips, you want to know what's going to help break you through that plateau or help jumpstart your photography journey. I've created a list of some of the most popular and actionable episodes for you. So whether you want to get into weddings, maybe you want to get into portraits, maybe you're just into photography as a hobby and you need some more creativity in your life, or maybe you want to start a business in photography, I got the episodes for you. I listed them out. If you head over to beginnerphotopod.com/start, again, that's beginnerphotopod.com/start, you'll see a playlist of my most popular and most actionable episodes for whatever you need the most help with. So if you're feeling like it's tough right now, keep going. You need to keep going. Check out those episodes. Again, beginnerphotopod.com/start. There's nothing to sign up for. It's just you go there. There's a list of episodes to listen to that are going to help you in your photography journey. You listen to it. That's it. All right. This brings us to habit number 9 for this new year. And habit number 9 actually comes from the one and only Marcus Aurelius, who says, be strict with yourself and be tolerant of others. If you're in photography long enough, you are going to pour your blood, sweat, and tears into this. Maybe it'll be for creating for yourself. Maybe it'll be for creating for others. And you're going to have people treat you poorly. You're going to have brides who are late to respond. I had a bride who didn't tell me what time to show up for her wedding, despite having emailed her a dozen times leading up to her wedding. She never emailed me back. She wouldn't answer my phone calls or nothing. So I had to email her the day before the wedding saying, well, I guess I'll be there at 10 a.m. Showed up at 10 a.m. They weren't even there yet. And my time for the day, allotted time, ended at 6 o'clock. Guess what? Right when the reception was starting. You're going to have families who show up late. You're going to have families show up in a bad mood. You're going to have somebody screenshot your images that you captured of them, and then they're going to post those screenshots on Facebook. But listen, you can't control any of that. You have to be strict with yourself, but be tolerant of others. That bride, listen, I don't know what else was going on in her life at that time, but I don't think I've ever met a single bride who has said that planning a wedding was stress-free, so maybe she had a lot of stress going on. The couple who screenshotted their photos, maybe they liked them, but had some sort of unexpected bill come up and couldn't pay for the full res images. I don't know. So there's no point in yelling at them, at getting upset. All you can do is be strict with yourself. Make sure that you email the brides on time. Make sure that you tell people not to screenshot your photos. And if they do it, well, what are you going to do about it? Be strict with yourself. Be tolerant of others. You don't know what other people are going through. And that brings me to habit number 10, which is to work for free. Yeah, do more work for free. Scandalous, I know. But listen, when you work for free and you make sure that it's the right opportunity according to your goals, everybody wins. When you're new in photography, right? Maybe you've been shooting for a while, you've taken some photos that you like, and you think to yourself, ooh, maybe I should start charging for this. People seem to like it. Once you start charging for your work, you create this relationship that is built on an expectation. They're paying you money and they expect to be given something in return, photos that they like. And that can put a lot of pressure on you as a photographer if you're new to this, if you've never done this before. So I highly recommend that instead of doing that, if you're looking to get into, say, family photography, reach out to, 10 families. Maybe they're friends of yours online, coworkers, whatever, and just say, hey, look, I'm looking to build my portfolio. Can I photograph your family for free? Now, let's say you go out there and you absolutely hate the experience, or the family is not really a fan of their photos. Well, that's okay. You can both go your own separate ways, no harm, no foul, because no money exchanged hands. Now, let's say that you did like the experience and they like the photos, you like the photos. Well, now you have something to build your portfolio with. Working for free was beneficial. Now, let's say that you're later on into your career, right? And somebody else asks you to work for free. Now, that doesn't mean when I say work for free, if somebody asked me to shoot their wedding for free, I would say no, thank you. But if another vendor asked me to donate my time and my talent for something that they were working on, more than likely I would say yes. A few years ago, there was a couple here locally who they hired a wedding photographer for their wedding, but 5 years after their wedding, they still hadn't received any of their wedding photos. The photographer just up and left town. They always had a billion excuses as to why they were late on the wedding photos, and then eventually just never responded back. So when I heard about this, I thought, wow, I have an opportunity here with my time and talent to be able to deliver something to this couple that can remind them of their wedding day. Sure, it's not exactly the same as their wedding, but it is something. It is something that can bring them together, that when they look at, they can think of their marriage. So when I reached out and asked them if they would be interested, they said, yeah, absolutely. So from there, I reached out to a bridal shop owner who I've worked with before to ask if she would be interested in donating a dress and a tux. She said, yes, absolutely. I reached out to a florist who I've worked with before, asked her if she would donate a bouquet. She said, yes, absolutely. I reached out to a hair and makeup artists to see if they would donate their time for the shoot, and they said, yes, absolutely. When it was all said and done, I not only had photos that I could share with the world, or that I could not only share with the couple and say, here you go, on behalf of the entire wedding industry, we're sorry that you went through something so terrible. But also, now I had something that I could share with the rest of the world. Hey, not all wedding photographers are the same. Some will just up and leave after your wedding. Don't hire non-reputable wedding vendors. And in fact, here are some other wedding vendors that I do think are extremely reputable. So it helped everybody. Working for free benefited every single person, even if we didn't collect a paycheck. So figure out some ways that you can work for free that can not only, benefit your community, but also can benefit others and yourself. This brings us to habit number 11, ties perfectly in there, which is to give without expectation. This is something that I'm trying to instill into my own children. One of my favorite other podcasts to listen to is called the Creative Pep Talk podcast, hosted by Andy J. Pizza. Pretty cool name. He said this thing that said, don't ever do something for somebody with any expectation of return. Do it because you want to, or don't do it at all. If you only do something, right? If you only work with another vendor because you think that they're going to bring you work, you're going to be let down. If you donate a photo session to a charity auction and you don't get any leads from it, you're going to be let down, if that is your expectation. If you do something because you genuinely want to help or to do that thing, then you'll never be let down. If the florist from my previous example was only doing it thinking that I was going to help book her more weddings in the future, if it didn't happen, she was going to be upset with me. But if she did it because she was helping out a couple in need, then the second that she delivers those photos, she's happy with whatever the outcome may be. If she doesn't get any additional bookings, or if she does. There's that quote, an eye for an eye makes the world blind. If you're constantly expecting something from others because of what you've done for them, you're only going to be let down. But if you reframe it and do something without any expectation at all and only do it because you want to do it, you'll never be let down. And that brings us to habit number 12, which is don't complain. My son came home from school with this flow chart the other day that said, can you control the situation? and then there's a yes or a no. But no matter which one you pick, then they both go into the answer of, then why complain about it, right? The idea is, if you ask yourself, can you control the situation? If you can control the situation, then why are you complaining about it? Like, just get to work and just do the thing. If the answer is no, you cannot control the situation, then why are you complaining about it? There's nothing that you can do about it anyway. Don't complain. Now, I want to be very clear. There's a difference between being wronged and complaining just because you don't like something. A family is going to show up late. Somebody's going to take forever to pay their deposit. Somebody's going to cancel a shoot way too late. What good is it to complain? It is better to refocus that energy of complaining about the situation into creating a better situation than it is to just mope all day and be upset. As a working photographer, the most annoying thing that can happen to us is being ghosted after somebody reaches out to us, right? We get a lead. Hey, are you available for this date? We're really interested in you. You reply, yes, I'm available. Thank you. I'm excited to chat with you. Let's set up a date to talk or whatever. And then you never hear anything back. That happens for like 6 out of every 10 leads that come in. At first you get excited, so maybe you Facebook stalk them. You find them online and you're like, oh yeah, this looks like a great couple, whatever. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be a great fit. You've already built up this amazing body of work in your head based on only this inquiry. And then when they don't respond, you get frustrated, and then you get angry. This happens enough, and you're like, geez, all these people, all they want is they want a soft yes. They never want to get back to you. They just want to hold up your calendar. It is so easy to complain. Please do not be that person in the industry who does nothing but complain about everything, because nobody wants to be around that person, especially your clients, especially other photographers. That's everybody who you may work with in your industry. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just get back to work. Focus on doing what you love and don't ever be caught complaining. Here we come. We're almost at the end. This is habit number 13. Participate in a photography community. That's not exactly a habit, but there's nothing like being a part of a group of photographers who all want to see you grow, right? Just having the ability to ask questions and see what others are shooting and see how they're doing it is like this weird learning hack to grow your skills faster. I don't know who said this originally, but there's that quote that you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So if you're intentional and you surround yourself with like-minded photographers who are looking to grow their skills, looking to grow a business in photography, whatever it may be, that will only help you to do the same. And it's hard to be a part of something new. It's hard to put yourself out there. But when you make it a habit to show up and participate in a photography community, it will change everything for you. So I encourage you to come in and join. I'm a little biased here, but the best place on the internet for photographers like yourself who are looking to grow and become a better photographer. And that is the free and amazing Beginner Photography Podcast community. You can join right now when you head over to beginnerphotopod.com/group. That is beginnerphotopod.com/group. It will change everything for you. And lastly, habit number 14 that you need to implement in this year to become the best photographer that you can be is to just start. Buckle up here for another quote, but this quote comes from Lorne Michaels, who's the producer of Saturday Night Live, the creator and producer of Saturday Night Live. He said, "We don't go on because we're ready. We go on because it's 11 p.m. The idea there is that you're never really ready, but don't let that hold you back. You're never really ready for what it is that you want, but don't let that hold you back. For me, early on, I didn't want to shoot a wedding unless I thought that I had all the professional gear. I had everything that would ensure that I could handle any situation possible. But to have shot no weddings and spend, 15 grand on camera and computer equipment is unfeasible, especially when you're shooting a wedding for like $700. But at some point, you can't let that hold you back. You have to just start. You don't start shooting weddings because you have everything and you're ready to go. You start shooting weddings because you want to start shooting weddings. It's time. Do you doom scroll too much? Probably, maybe. Do you ever see a beautiful sunset and think to yourself, I should take a photo of that? But by the time I get on my camera and get it ready and whatnot, I'm sure those colors will be gone. It won't be the same photo that I see right now. Yeah, you probably do. We can't let those things hold us back. We have to just start. Like I said earlier, this should not be a passive listening experience, listening to this podcast. It should be active. You should be listening to it and thinking about, how can I use these tips? How can I use this information to implement into my photography so that I can become better, so that I can enjoy myself more, so that I can create images that I've only dreamed of? You don't have the skills. So what? You have to start. You have to start somewhere. You have to shoot for free. You have to build a relationship with your clients. You have to have less than professional gear. You have to keep going even though it's tough. You have a lot of prep work to do before every shoot that you do. But those things will add up. And they will add up to the point to where it's just second nature. But it's like a New Year's resolution. If you give yourself like 15 New Year's resolutions, you're completely changing your entire life come January 1st compared to what it was the day before. That's not feasible. You can't get everything ready before you start. You have to, just take out your cell phone and take a photo. Look for the light. That's great. Wait for the right moment. Perfect. Don't think that you can't take photos until you have, quote, professional level gear or know everything about photography. So you have to just start. So today, if you take nothing away from this episode except for this one thing, I want you to take one photo with intention today. Again, whether it be beautiful light or beautiful moment or something that you see every day on your way to work, but have never stopped to take a photo of it. Do that today. Take one photo with intention so that you can just start. And that's it. Those are my 14 habits that if you implement this year, it is going to completely change your life as a photographer. So real quick, let's do a brief recap. Habit number 1 is to stop watching gear reviews. Do not do that. Habit number 2 is to always be on time. Habit number 3 is to always do your best, not be the best. Habit number 4 is to shoot daily. Habit number 5 is to prep before every shoot. Habit number 6 is build client relationships. Habit number 7 is to slow down. It's a long journey. Slow down. It is okay. Habit number 8 is to keep going even when it gets tough. Habit number 9 is to be strict with yourself and be tolerant of others. Habit number 10 is to work for free. Just make sure that it's the right opportunity for you. Habit number 11 is to give without expectations. Habit number 12 is to not complain. Never complain. Don't complain. Habit number 13 is to participate in a photography community. And habit number 14 is to just start. I want to know from you, what is the one habit from today's lesson that you are going to implement right away? Again, I would love to know. I'd love for you to come join us in the free and amazing Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook community that you can join right now over at beginnerphotopod.com/group. That is it for today. Until next time, remember, the more that you shoot today, the better of a photographer you will be tomorrow. Talk soon. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Beginner Photography Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend. Start a conversation. Grow together. That is it for this week. Remember, the more that you shoot today, the better of a photographer you will be tomorrow. Talk soon.
Thank you for listening to the Beginner Photography Podcast. Keep shooting, and we'll see you next week.